Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Zombieverse New Blood episodes 1 and 2. So, this is the second season of a show called Zombieverse. I don't know exactly what I'm going to title this video. I'll have to mull over that once I'm to complete this video. So, for those of you that don't remember the first season, because it's been quite a bit of gap of time of me to have reviewed the first season as well as also just the second season even being out and everything like that. So we go on into the first season and we have these characters being involved in this dating show. And the dating show eventually is to be interrupted by a zombie outbreak happening in this restaurant that has all these contestants in it. These contestants are to be left to all together as a group make their way into this van to be driven off. Come to find out, the van loses gas, and so we have these people go to a gas station, and eventually, in these first two episodes of the second season, there's going to be some similarities there. But if anything, from season 2 to season 1, there's also some drastic differences. So, in the first season, we would go on to find that our characters would go on and actually look unique from one another. They would have these certain outfits that would kind of really like stick out as like, okay, this is this person, this is this person. Da, 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 da. In the second season, it just looks like everyone is wearing all the same stuff, and it's all very plain, and like everyone has the same hairstyle. If it's not a sunglasses or a pair of glasses or a skin tone or a big muscular guy, I can't really tell the difference between anyone in this show so far. There is no skill enough besides this guy going on and telling us that he's a politician or a politic-ish like guy. That chef, of course, is to be a chef. That Joe is to have gone on and told us that he was working on a music video, and him being the one standout guy that is to be kind of like the comic relief of this show for some goofy reason. I don't know why, but I guess he is. Anyways, so we go on in to this second season, and I would have just gone on and copied and pasted like the first. I would just have a group of people all put in one location and zombie apocalypse happens. The outbreak happens. Have them in a movie theater, have them in a mall, have them in a convention, and zombie apocalypse happens. I would have been fine with that. You could have even kept the people in that one location and just had that been the consistent. Not have them go on and maybe had them run to a store here and there around that location, but kept that to be the home base. And I would have been fine with that. Maybe had them run off to a hardware store or a sports store to grab equipment, but then come back. Could have been a simple show. Could have been a fun show. I would have liked it. And then realized that, yeah, they would finally just need to go on and need to figure out how to escape because their home base ends up getting invaded by zombies. Show sells itself. But anyways, so in the second season, we go on to do the most zombie sequel idea that they can come up with, which is to realize, yeah, guys, the zombie apocalypse has been going on for quite a bit of a time here, but these people, it seems, don't even know that a zombie apocalypse has even happened. They're not really aware of it. They end up getting, for some reason, by choice of theirs, dropped off by a truck to go to this resort. I'm like, if you don't know that there's a zombie thing going on, why are you going on to this truck? Why make that choice? You're just straight up stupid. Uh, you could have just stayed at home and just weathered this thing out. I'm so confused. But anyways, we have these people going to this resort and people getting fed, people going on and kind of talking amongst themselves and grouping up with more people that are going to be more contestants on the show. So the outbreak goes on to happen because of a person who is infected on one of these trucks that comes in. Like, yeah, that makes the most reasonable amount of sense, because when you have too many people in one area, all it takes is one. So the zombie outbreak happens at night, and weirdly, all of a sudden, this resort ends up turning into this weird, goofy obstacle course. And we have completely forgotten about the reality of this reality show. And we just now turned it into like just a game show that feels so similar to like American Gladiators or Legends of the Hidden Temple. More so Legends of the Hidden Temple than anything else. If you've never seen that Nickelodeon show, oh my god, are you missing out on a gem? That show is really entertaining. So within this first episode, people are just running around with a chicken with their heads cut off to eventually be saved. And then once we go into the second episode, I'm like, wait a minute. God damn. So the guy in the first episode that had gone on and basically done legit like the heavy lifting. Man, that second episode though. So in the second episode, they go on and they fat shame people, and they do a lot of stuff that normally in a lot of shows would probably get edited out. No, this show is like, no, we want to leave all of this stuff in because it's prime time entertainment, right? Yeah, I want to go on and just want to see people just back and forth, running to a location. Man, is this entertaining? No! You know what? If I want to go on and I want to see somebody do like barn chores, like I will watch a show that has like barns. Like, I'm not going into a zombie apocalypse show to see obstacle courses and people just running like that is not a zombie apocalypse show. It's not. So plus these people are walking, or these people are running back and forth to get this gas in the second episode, and there is supposedly a threat of a zombie to be nearby, but like these people can take like all the time in the world to get this gasoline, and they have to get a shitload of it. Yeah, so In the second episode, all they did was eat and then go to this helicopter to get this gasoline. And it's basically like the other episode of Zombieverse where it's the whole van where they need to go to the gas station and they need to figure out how they can go on and get that gas to be pumped. So eventually in the second episode, they end up finding out that not all the people can be put into this helicopter because of the weight limit. So everybody's trying to figure out, like, okay, who should we go on and who should we get rid of? Because not everybody's going to go on and fit in this helicopter, right? So the weird thing of it is in a zombie apocalypse or even in a game show situation where people will lie to win or lie to survive. Just like, why is it that that anybody would go on and buy anything that anybody says here? If anything, like, everybody's going on and having this be like a reset for them. So if anything, they can go into this situation with a completely different name, a completely different backstory, because if anything, if someone says this to anybody, they will buy into it because they don't know any better. So any lie could go on and be just said here. Even at one point, we have Chef who goes on and they ask him, like, hey, how old are you? And he says his age, and they're like, what? But maybe he just was to be misunderstanding what they had gone on and asked him, which is very reasonable. Because eventually, like, the more and more that they talk to Chef, it seems at some point he was to need to go on and kind of reiterate what they said. So it's like, well, maybe he doesn't speak fluid whatever language that they speak, so he's just trying to figure it out. As well as also him just kind of thanking them, and yeah, I don't know, like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and it doesn't really matter anyways because second episode. But so let's go on in more detail and break the episodes down further for what is to have all happened within these episodes. So, and also I need to right now give my grading of these episodes and how I felt about this. So, for this sequel, I will say that these episodes were entertaining. I'm willing to watch more of it if people want to really check these videos out and watch them. I'm willing to watch this whole season to see where it goes completely. And just be like, man, I hope there is some, at some point, like, even in the second episode, there's a potential of a really good reset. That could be like, hey man, if you guys didn't enjoy the first two episodes, but man, you're gonna like these other X number of whatever episodes. I'm curious. But anyways, so could be a possibility. Don't know. Never know until I check out more. So, but right now, like, this sequel season is a less than product. Like, I really was just like, man, more than I was like, yeah. I was like, man, this feels just so cheap. It really does. So sorry, that's just my opinion. So right now, like, this season is, I hate to say negative, but right now it's just kind of bad right now. It's surprisingly bad right now. Where it's just like, man, you could have copied and pasted the formula from the first season, and I would have been like, yeah, this is great. But no. they went with this whole other route, which is boring. And the season just sucks right now. So I'm hoping for a turnaround, but then again, more than likely there is probably an easy reason why I didn't know that this second season really even existed. Or that no one was really talking about it. Maybe there's a reason for that. I have no idea. But anyways, I think it's about that time to break down further these episodes and get into more of the spoiler details of them. Let me know in the comments below if you were to have gone on and watched the first season, or if you watched both first and second season and you're finally be like, hey, somebody's talking about this, a show that I watched X number of months ago, and I don't really remember anything about this, but why are you going on and reviewing this now, you stupid person, you? Well, like, because there's probably a reason for that. It probably showed up on somewhere of my YouTube things somewhere, so that's why I'm covering it now. Being blatantly honest to you, the viewer, and not trying to hide anything. So yeah, this just came up on my stuff to cover, so I did so, and I was happy to do so. Because I'm like, yeah, I like the first season, but this one, it's rough going so far. Could have figured that was going to be a thing. So anyways, uh, so also, let me know in the comments below what is to be your favorite reality show. What is to be your favorite like game show thing? Like I had gone on and watched the God, what was the one show? The one that was hosted by Ken John. The one where it's like the is like the 100 people, and eventually it dwindled down to just 2 people left. Uh, it has that kind of number name in it, but I can't quite think of what it was. I watched that, and it had Sarah Hannah in it from Power Rangers, and that was cool. Uh, it wasn't like 1 versus 100, but it was something like that. But like, yeah, I think there is also some really interesting like kind of game show stuff. Like there was one thing where they had like the statues of the people's physiques. And I was kind of interested in that, but I never actually watched that show. Maybe I should take a look into that. I don't even remember the title of that show either. But I don't know. Like maybe I'll just check out some game show stuff at some point. Uh, even though it'll be hard to really review them, but maybe if they're different enough, maybe it'll be good to check some of these out. But it's gonna be hard to probably review them. So, anyways, let's pause here. Let's go on and let's break down these episodes. All right, spoilers, everybody. It is spoiler time, spoiler time. It's about that time to spoil these episodes. Let me know how you felt about these first 2 episodes if you were to check out this season. Let me know how you felt about this season overall. Hopefully you don't spoil anything for me, even though anything that is to be spoiled, it's like, yeah, whatever. I hope, please don't spoil anything. Please, come on. So, the very beginning of this first episode is to basically show what's going to happen in the season, which that is a good thing, but then also it's a bad thing because in all honesty, when you do that, like when you show what's kind of going on in the season, you can make a clear consensus that like some of these ideas they're kind of stealing from other zombie movies, and I immediately groan about that because it's like, okay, you're not being that creative. But then also, you can then know who's going to be alive through a good chunk of this season when obviously, like, hey, like, you've watched X number of episodes, and this part has not come up yet. And this person is to be shown in this future setting of which that is not quite in the episodes that you've seen yet. So you immediately know, like, okay, well, this person is going to be in this show for a while. So it kind of ruins that. It kind of spoils that surprise. So, if anything, that's what I hate about this opening. So, we cut to the Jeju Island. So, they go on and they mention that this outbreak has happened in Seoul. I'm like, yeah, like when you look at Train to Busan, when you look at like, yeah, we just have to have all zombie infections that happen in Seoul. I don't know what is up with Seoul. I don't know why uh, every zombie apocalypse has to happen in Seoul. You know what? I would love it. I would love to be a contestant on if they do a zombie verse in America. If they start to do, if this just does so well that they can start cropping up like how Survivor had all these kind of different whatever things, uh like Survivor Australia and Survivor, like if they do a zombie verse, I would love to be the American contestant. I'm sure I'd probably die in the first or second episode because I'm sure I'd make some stupid decision, but I would love to try. Like, if there's gonna be a zombie verse America, sign me up. I'd be happy to do it. But then again, also, like I like I don't think I don't think I'd last very long. I'd love to, but yeah. Anyways, so we now make our way into this truck that is dropping off all these people. So they open up this truck and the people are to go on and have this light come in, and so this guy is throwing these sunglasses on. We have these three people that they focus on, and I'm not going to really explain any of their names. Like, I know one of them is Joe already because I looked at the cast list, and that's the guy who wears the sunglasses. I'm probably going to mention him more so than the other two people here because, in all honesty, he is to be the guy that they really kind of make fun of here. That he does so many goofy things that people make fun of him a lot. Or they laugh at his expense because it's like, really, dude? Come on. So, plus also he's the guy that runs away in fear more so than anyone else. But like, if you're put in this circumstance, like you don't want to go on and you don't want to get infected and be taken out of the show. So you're doing anything to just keep yourself alive in the show. So strategically, the guy running away to save himself is actually a smart idea because you want to stay on the show as long as you can. So the three people go on and make their way into this resort that has all these fences and uh, all of this kind of welcome sign stuff that has had this certain uh, incantation on it that they go on and they say here. So we come to find out that these people are going to go on and make their way into this resort to stay there for 3 days, to be quarantined off to make sure that they're not infected. So the people go on and they make their way to this area to ask for drugs, to ask for medication, and like one person is asking about cold medication, like maybe she's infected. Anyways, so we have the 3 people that they focus on eventually find others that later on, when people start to get infected, it's like, oh yeah, that's the ping pong guy from earlier. Oh wait, hey, yeah, like that's the bride woman that we saw earlier. Oh, that's the so and so other person that they have to bring up, and because there's going to be a reason for that later on. To me, I'm just like, how would anybody know all these people? Plus, like, again, the reality is to be lost. It feels like somebody is like earwigging this stuff into these people for them to say, or that these people are really good at memorizing lines to read, because this show must have to be scripted, right? If it's not, then like that is a shocker. But whatever. So the 3 focus people go on and they meet with this kind of officer guy. This guy's in command. He kind of guides them through this quarantined area. So they go on and then next meet up with a guy named uh, where is he in the cast list? Uh, Kim. Kim goes on to ultimately like feel like a politician-ish like character. They have a certain title for him, and he also is to have this cardboard cutout, which I was like, yeah, I definitely have to go on and need to put that as a background here because it just looked interesting. So we'll go on and we'll find that this very specific man here will become a part of this group. And in the second episode, it kind of does become interesting because the guy goes on and is to say that there is a very certain place for these people to be able to go to feel safe. And I was like, okay, so maybe at some point they're going to go on to eventually get there. That is to be like their saving grace, is what this guy is to go on and mention, for them to maybe either wrap up the season or to maybe just have that be a stopping gap of one of the episodes. Uh, I would probably think that that's probably going to be like the last episode in the season is them just going there, since they've set it up so early here. So we have these people go on and meet up with a guy named Defcon. Defcon, honestly, to me, best character of this show because it seems like he has a personality. It seems that he's a kind of a fun guy, and it seems like he's to go on and really take in people, and like when uh DEFCON was to uh kind of be with the chef for the short time that he was with him with, like it seems they were really having a good rapport. Like like it seems that DEFCON was like, man, I'm loving your food. Oh my god, yeah, like it, really liking this DEFCON guy. Hopefully, he makes it to the whole entire season because I'm actually really enjoying this character. And then basically, like they kind of tell me that he's at least going to make it to the wherever the subway thing is. So whenever episode that drops, I'll know exactly how long this shelf life of a guy really is to have gone on and exist. So, anyways, so they make their way inside. They go on and they meet with a guy in there who is Code. I'm sure there's more than just Code here, but I'll just call him Code. Code, it seems, is going on and putting uh like cones and making them into armor to put on people's legs. So he's putting one on his arm. So there's a movie called World War Z that had Brad Pitt in it. And Brad Pitt had gone on to put magazines on his arms and duct tape them. And then he would go on to like facet like a stick and a knife and make a spear. But you can't make weapons in the show because it would be too dangerous. So, plus also, I wouldn't want to go on and get anybody hurt anyways. Maybe a forearm, maybe maybe a punch, maybe a kick, maybe a drop kick also. But like, I also would feel bad about it because I'm just like, maybe I'd either get caught up in the moment or I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to injure anybody. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's like, hey man, I want to win the show. When you look at it, American Gladiators, the gladiator guys, they got hurt all the time. Like, they would break their noses, they would go on and get their arms in a sling. Yeah, they would look in pretty goddamn bad shape. Like the British gladiators, yeah, they got really beaten up. Anyways, so, and I'd gone on to see quite a bit of episodes of the British American Gladiator, or the British gladiators, and yeah, like, they would get freaking clobbered. So, anyways, pushing on. So, the three people would go on to meet with Code, and he would go on and be like, oh yeah, I just gave that guy some armor, and like, Code is having this shield, and weirdly enough, by the time that things are like really popping off, the guy doesn't have a shield on his arm. So I'm like, well, whatever. So, but the thing that I did like though is, even though this is kind of like a resort, and like, it's kind of like, it's kind of nice, like, this just kind of set up here. Like, you have these people that are going on and they have all these tents and they have their own little space here, and it's kind of really, I really like this kind of just setup here. So we come to find that one person is to have lost their husband during a wedding, or a wedding photo shoot. And so it seems that there's also like a number of letters and such that are to be posted all over the walls, of people that probably was lost during this whole apocalypse, which I liked the attention to detail there. So they all go back and they all just kind of sit around. And there's at one point where the guy goes on and he puts the cone over his head. He's like, happy birthday. Anyways, so uh uh so here's where we go on and have like the first kind of scare that people should go on and just kind of be leery or suspicious that there's going to be a zombie outbreak happening here. So the group is all kind of sitting around talking, and all of a sudden somebody gets up and they start to act like they're a zombie. And we have the one guy who's Joe, who immediately just runs off and gets away. And then all of a sudden, there are people that go on and they run to the guy who's a zombie, and he's just drunk. They'll go on and they'll find that he has so many beer bottles next to him, and it's like, yeah, like I'm sure the guy was really drunk because he had lost somebody, or really just pretending here. So, because this is not really a reality show. I hope he did drink all those beers and get really drunk. So, after like the false alarm is all but called here, Joe comes back and like, hey man, you just ran away, and he was like, hey, I was scared, like, but I thought that was funny. So here's where we go on and we have our group here, and they meet up with survivors of season 1, the people that made it. And yeah, like that whole boat ending of that first season honestly I was like, man, like the boat ending kind of sucked, because it's all about like what choice you made, and if you made like the bad choice, then you would get eliminated. You would not win the show. So like just a little mistake would cost you. And so also it's like, man, like if you get eliminated in the first, like you can't come back for the second season. Man, does that suck. Anyways, so we'd find the survivors of the first season coming back in the second season, so it's like, ooh, like that's nice that there's kind of a continuity here. So since the first season people would go on to have experience actually facing off against zombies, and these new people have never gone on in their life known even a zombie existed, like the first season people can kind of clue them in. But if anyways, the main focus is on each one of them going on and getting some food. And it's funny, as the people start to make their way into getting food, like people are starting to complain about portion size. Like, hey, you gave her a bigger piece. Hey, you gave me a smaller piece. Hey, what? Like that is just so stupid. So, and then Chef is just like, hey, thank you, thank you. And they're like, no, I want more food. It's funny. So, so here's where we go on to have the season 1 veterans come into the season 2 people and like explain to them what all had happened in the first season as a recapping, just in case people either didn't watch the first season or had seen the first season, but it was some time had passed. So the guys are going on and they're talking about Chef, and I think there's a bit of foreshadowing going on here, because they go on and they talk about how Chef is a Titan, is a video game character. He doesn't seem real, but he's real. He's there. He's there in the flesh. And they go on and they talk about, man, if he becomes a zombie, like, man, like that is going to be the worst, like because he's so big and muscular, da 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 da. And so, which I'm immediately thinking, I'm like, well, guess how the second half of this is going to play out. Like, yeah, because of the second episode, yeah, like I definitely know where this show is going to head. Not a shocker there. Like, if anything, if where I'm thinking is where this season is gonna head, it's like, man, so this show would go on to feel a lot more scripted than like I would have wanted it to. And it could be very disappointing by the more I watch of this. Like, wait a minute, like they're going on and doing this with this character, and making him into a zombie. Anyways, so okay. So here's where we cut to the truck that has to have the one person infected with the zombie infection. Everybody's kind of looking around at the truck like, hey, this guy's gonna turn. He's gonna get sick. So at least that definitely wasn't the reality part of the show. Uh, here's where we have the guy in the military outfit, the commander guy who had uh the microphone on him. He comes in and he asks the group if there's anybody that feels fit or strong, because he wants them to go on and do a task here, which this task thing is to just be like, why is this even in the show? Like, I guess to show some athleticism, but like, this is not exactly a thing that's going to be actually like a zombie apocalypse thing. Yeah, I just so the guy comes in to ask if anybody's fit because he's going to go on and have these people make their way uh to break these boxes down to be used as firewood. And I'm just like, okay, so I guess that's starting to set us up like that there's kind of like these tasks involved. And you know what? Honestly, like I would probably want to even further have this episode be set up as maybe like RPG points, like role playing game points. So here's what I would go on and I would do with this. So I would go on and I would award these people with like character points, and if people are to go on and do really good things for their character, then I would let them live longer. If they would go on and do things that would like work against the group, or they would go on and maybe just have way less points than everyone else, then obviously they would effing die. Like, especially if someone goes on and goes against the group and runs away, and it's like, well, hey, you're part of the group and you're not working as a team. Yeah, you deserve to die. You really deserve to die very early in the show because of your act of cowardice. But then also there are some people that did have cowardice, but still went on and still helped out the team. So that should be character points. Anyways, so that's just how I would go on and I would work this show. So we cut to the guy opening up the truck to let people out, and he lets zombies out instead. So the next thing we see, in my mind, is the one guy taking this sledgehammer to break down these boxes, and then we see the zombies making their way to this fence. We have a couple of guys that are running to this fence to have it be closed, so that way the zombies don't get through. But there are gaps in the fence. Of course there is. So eventually they realize that holding up at this fence is going to be a waste of time, but that's what ends up starting one of these quests, one of these missions. These guys have to go on and they have to run to this front yard, and they have to get there in 1 minute. So you start to see these characters running, and these zombies are right behind them, and you start to seeing them like running and hopping over these little hurdles and obstacles and things in front of them. And the zombie apocalypse starts to pop off here. So we have one group that's outside, and we have another that's inside. And so the group that is inside, they go on and they decide to hide under this table to wait for the zombies to make their way in. And people are starting to get attacked here. We have the woman that was to have been a bride end up getting attacked. There's gonna be the ping pong guy. He ends up turning into a zombie. We'll start to see some blood on the letters. So we'll start to see some characters here, and they will go on to explain who they were. And I thought that was actually kind of cool here. So now we're to, for these kind of newbies, a tutorial. Subdue beginning level zombies and escape. So for this season, they would go on to figure out that the zombies are going to increase in difficulty. So in the first season, it seemed that most of the zombies were attracted by sound, but it seems that in this season, they might be attracted by sight and not always sound. Or maybe they're just attracted by sight and not sound, because yeah, in the first season they were attracted by sound mostly, so they worked around that pretty good. So they would start to find that one of the zombies is making their way to their table, and it's the ping pong guy. So the guys underneath the table would need to come up with some kind of plan. So they figure out that they want to go on and they want to put something over the zombie so it covers up their face. Because, of course, if they're attracted by sight, if they don't go on and they don't see anything, then they won't be able to, of course, figure out where they are. So, as zombies continue to come in, they get the bright idea to take these blankets and shove it over the zombies. So, they take these blankets and they start flinging over, and we have Joe, the guy with the blue sunglasses, who continues to not be able to throw the blankets over the zombie's head. Instead, he just throws it over their backs to make it look like a cape. And people start to make fun of him because, like, dude, why do you keep giving them a cape? He's like, I don't know, like I just keep trying to throw it, and it just keeps going onto their back instead of on their heads. So And then immediately when they do go on and they throw the capes or the blankets over the zombies' heads, the zombies just thrust it away from them anyways, and they just continue to walk. So it's like, well, that's a pointless endeavor. So the blankets don't work, so eventually they just grab tents. They take the tents and they put the tents over the zombies' heads. But eventually even that at some point just becomes pointless. So eventually the group does go on and they at some point do scatter and they start running all over the goddamn place. So at some point, we then go on and we have Chef that comes in. Chef comes in and he bear hugs one of the zombies, and Chef goes on to explain to the group for them to tie the zombie down and put a like a mask or a pantyhose thing over his face so that way the zombie won't bite anybody. But the plan is to tie the zombies up, and I thought that was a genius idea. So they start to go along with the whole like, hey, let's tie these things up to incapacitate them. And that's what they do for like the low level zombies. But eventually there's going to be this whole cabinet thing because there's going to be more zombies that are coming in. So now we go to the second group. So here is this stupid uh water slash bamboo stick obstacle course that is the stupidest thing. So because we even come to find that one of the characters can go on and just kind of grab the ropes and just kind of just shimmy his way across the thing anyways. So but I guess not everybody is to be probably as fit as he is or whatever, but still, like, to me, I'm just like this is the dumbest thing that they have to do. So, plus also the one girl is to like, hey, how about we take this like foam thing and just chuck it on the ground and just do that? Yeah, they don't go with that at all. So they end up doing the whole bamboo sticks, which the bamboo sticks freaking break anyways. So the bamboo sticks break. So we now cut back to the other people that were outside. So the people that were going on and being outside were needing to just hop over these very large boxes, and these zombies start to surround them. Eventually, uh, as the characters start to look around, they notice nearby that there is this building and it has this netting. Stupid. So they go on and they realize that they need to eventually figure out how to make a break for it to get to this netting so they can climb up this thing. So they make a run for it. They get to the netting, and one girl is like struggling, so they have to pull her up. So they make it to this net that is to be on top of this building, and there's specifically one zombie that's just connected via these like this rope, and it looks very obvious that he was like planted there just in case if anybody ends up getting injured, maybe like he'll come in and like, oh hey, I'll help you. Anyways, so also, like, I think there is a bit of banter going on with the text of this show also at certain points, which I'm like, why waste the time doing that like commentary? It just looks just like why would anybody just read any of that garbage? But anyways, uh, so we have these people all go on and they climb here, and come to find out, the windows all of a sudden start breaking. That's in this building, and then zombies start popping out, and it's to just be this kind of weird, goofy, like, hey, window zombie, like it's now like all of a sudden now the zombies are all gonna go on and go through these windows and start climbing after the people. No, that's not what happens. They're just there to like, ooh, spooky, and then they just vanish. So now we go on to have the inside people need to go on and figure out the whole cabinet thing, which takes them a very long time to figure out. So, no offense, because of course it's going to take a long time. So, these people inside are all running around the place, and they figure out that they can go on and that they can go into these cabinets because they're like lockers. They're big. So at first, the people all go into these cabinets because they found this place that has all these keys, so they can unlock them all. So they all go into these cabinets, but then realize that not everybody can fit in them because there's not enough people. So instead, one person makes the clear thought of like, well, wait a minute, like these cabinets are not for us, they're for the zombies that are inside here. So what they have to do is they have to figure out a way to trap the zombies in these cabinets so that way they can uh, be free of the zombies that way. So I actually thought that was a pretty brilliant idea, but the way that they kind of go about this whole cabinet thing wasn't exactly the best strategic way about going about things. So here is where Andre goes on and needs to face off about 5 zombies all at once by himself. Ridiculous, because Andre was with a couple of people, and they, as soon as they see all the zombies, they book it and leave Andre by himself without Andre really noticing. And so Chef goes on and is to grab one of the zombies to try to get him in the cat, but he's by himself. More zombies start coming in, so Chef just starts to like muscle them and really thrust them away, and then runs off himself because he's just outnumbered here. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. So here's where the team starts to go on and realize that there's 2 cabinets stacked next to one another, and so they use this strategy of like, well, hey, we can stack these cabinets to kind of block this hallway, and we can open up these cabinets, have the zombie come into the cabinet, and then lock and close the cabinet, and then we can kind of keep doing that for any of the zombies that come in. So that come through the hallway, and we can suck them into the cabinet that way to lock them in there. So that was actually a pretty sound strategy. Hopefully it works out for them, Cotton. So guys, or dodgeball fans, you'll get that reference. So So at one point there is, I think, one zombie left, but the problem is that the zombie is a little bit more difficult than all the others. At one point, we just had one person who was to get inside the cabinet while the zombie was just like at the door and just trying to get at the fingers of the person who was just trying to hold the cabinet closed. And it was kind of funny. Like, they took so much time just kind of like this zombie's like, just gnawing at the cabinet. It just looked stupid. It just looked a little goofy. It was a little funny, but anyways, it's just whatever. So they do go on and they do figure out a way to get to that last zombie and then call it like, okay, like we got all the zombies. So everybody's going on and they're so happy because really just Andre doing all the heavy lifting here. Via the very last zombie, he had to go on. He had to like bear hug it, and then they tie the zombie up, and then they put it in the cabinet. So everybody by the end of this was all like hugging on Andre because, like, yeah, man, like if you weren't here, like they would be up shit's creek. So we then have them go on and discover that they have smoke grenades. So weirdly, inside of the house, they're going on and they're letting out all these smoke grenades. So I just thought that that was weird. So after that goes on and occurs, we end up getting to the second episode. So yeah, they have to go on and just do all these weird, goofy obstacles, and then just call it a night. So the next day, they go on and they make their way to a place called Burger Joint by the beach. Maybe this is a weird uh, promotion for this restaurant. Maybe they were like scouting for businesses and they end up asking like, hey, could we use your restaurant during the show? And uh maybe these people were to be like, well, hey, I'm willing to go on and have you use my restaurant for the show if I'm a part of it. You would think that that would probably be a bargaining chip that they would probably have. But anyways, so in the second episode, we have one of the contestants go on and make his way to the burger joint, which is to be supposedly employed by a girl named Patricia, who had stayed back to be a person who's like, well, I'm gonna just kind of stay at this restaurant and kind of just banner the sales. Like, you know what? For how long that Patricia had probably been bunkered down in this place, why didn't these people decide to stay there a little bit more and just fortify the burger joint? Could have been an entertaining bit of episodes there, but anyways. So the group all make their way to this restaurant and they're all exhausted from the night before. It's like, well, yeah, like they were all crazily running around. And if these people weren't used to this, like if they weren't doing cardio, like who knows, like how fit these people were before this show. So yeah, I have no idea like how good their cardio is or nothing. So, but if anything, I'm not going to shame anybody for not hitting the gym or whatever. Because hey, all walks of life of people can go on and do amazing in a zombie apocalypse. So we make our way into this restaurant, and we have chef that is going to work with Patricia to make food. And it's also kind of funny because the group eventually goes on and asks, like, hey, how long is the food going to take? And so Chef is like, well, hey, if you count to 100 in English, the food will be ready. So with within this moment here, we take a bit of time to get to know Joe a little bit more. And he used to mention how he had lost a wife or something, or his wife is missing. No idea what he's talking about. As well as also he is to talk about his music video that he was doing with some celebrity. So the more and more they're talking with Joe, we get to a moment where supposedly like he's tearing up because of his lost wife, and he's wearing sunglasses because he's hiding his tears. You can really see very well through those sunglasses, but if anything. So the more and more we get to discuss this group, we get to find little things about them that they're like wild cards, or that one guy was to have spent some time with another, and maybe there's a possibility that they're going to end up an item, maybe, who knows, or maybe they're just going to be friends. I don't know. Like, I don't think in the first season there was ever a possibility that people were going to be lumped up together as a couple or anything. But hey, the show could go on and definitely be interesting if there's some romance going on in the show. Anyways, so plus also it would be kind of interesting if people met on the show and then after the show was over, like they actually became a couple. Like that would be fun to know that bit of information. They were like, oh yeah, we were like written in as these two characters on this reality show, and yeah, it actually went somewhere. So Chef goes on and he ends up giving all these people burgers because this place is called Burger Joint. So I guess the only thing you can really make is burgers, right? So, but like burgers for breakfast doesn't quite make sense. Like, but I guess it's just like, well, hey, like whatever we can make, but I don't know. So DEF goes on and tells Chef that he's like, hey man, I love your burgers. Like this is great. So DEF is to go on and mention about how Chef is to have been a guy that had actually been a chef at the White House and would go on to ask him, it's like, well, hey, is this a Donald Trump or a Biden burger? Like, what is this? And so Chef doesn't exactly answer, but like, oh, okay, all right, I'm sorry I asked. So, but freaking, yeah, Chef's cool. Like, yeah, uh, hopefully this backstory isn't to have been made up because man, would that just be cool on a resume to just have actually been a person who worked at the White House as a chef. But who knows? So uh, as later and later after they've finally eaten everything, uh, they would go on to realize, hey, maybe we should probably go on and check out the radio because hey, like we should definitely go on and find some kind of source to figure out what's going on right now because they want to figure out a way to escape all this. So they tune in the radio, and they find on the radio that there's to be this person talking, and they're mentioning this latitude and longitude in this place for helicopters to be picking people up. So luckily within this building there's a map right over yonder in this building. So they figure out the latitude and longitude, and they figure out exactly where the area is. So like, like, man, isn't that kind of convenient that you have a map that is to be exactly where you're going to eventually go? Isn't that a little convenient? But anyways, so but it's interesting how they talk about what is starting to become infected. That the island that they're on is to be like the second worst place to have gotten infected right now, and that they need to figure out a way to get out of here to some place that isn't as infected. So, as well as us also finding that there's to be some scuba divers or some people uh, who are on the shores getting infected and becoming zombies. So, excuse me. The group were to go on and realize that there is a brochure or pamphlet of ATVs, and that'll be the thing that they will go on to use to make their way to this latitude and longitude area. Cut to, all of a sudden, they're in the woods driving these ATVs. We weirdly have to just continue in this line of dialogue where, like, a guy and a guy are on an ATV together, and there's this just weird, consistent dialogue going on of like, "Hey, like, what's that poking in my back there?" Like, that is just the like, really, we have to go there. Plus, also, it's just like, uh, this is stupid. This is like, is it a joke? Like that they're like, yeah, this sounds funny. But the more and more that they keep saying it, I'm just like, okay, like, we get it. Like, you guys want to just keep making like weird, goofy, um, like, oh, this guy's aroused by me. This guy finds me attractive. Whatever. It's just stupid. So, as the group are driving their ATVs, they spot the helicopters off in the distance. The people are going on and they're waving their hands, hoping the helicopter will see them, as well as also as they drive by. They seem to find that there is some zombies that pop out of the woods. So, as soon as the survivors make their way, this group makes their way to the place where the helicopter is going to land, there's seemingly not a zombie in sight. How convenient. So, the helicopter lands, the survivors make their way to the helicopter, and as soon as the door is open, the helicopter guy goes on and tells them, hey, the helicopter, the fuel is empty. Wait a minute. How is exactly all these people to know that the helicopters or the vans or whatever are to be completely empty of gas? And how exactly do we have to need to go on it and feel so much of it? I just think that a lot of that is just busy work. So they have to go on and they have to get 500 liters of gas And how do you even need to logically in your brain figure out how much that really is? But anyways, so one of the pilots go on and explain where the gas needs to go. So we then cut to this yellowed fenced area that these people need to get the gas in. So, and of course, this yellow fence thing is not nearby. So they have to huff it from uh, the fenced area that has this helicopter to then this place that does have this gas, which is quite a bit of stretch of running or walking or whatever. So they have to huff it back and forth. And there's this also just this bit of just logs that are in this area that they have to also clear. And it'll take them quite a bit of time before they actually do the whole like shoving of the logs. So we have the guys going on and getting a bunch of fuel, and they bring it with them with these wheelbarrows. And here's where they start to move the logs that is in front of the road that they're trying to get this fuel on. Honestly, why don't they use the ATVs and drive it back and forth instead of running back and forth? Are the ATVs completely out of gas conveniently for the story? That was just stupid to me. Because they could have gone on and gotten the gas done a lot quicker. Or they could have, well, I don't think they could have siphoned off the gas from the ATVs to fuel the helicopter because it's different gas. Anyways, so, well, there is at a certain point where they do get some of the gas and put it on an ATV, but they don't consistently do it. It's not very consistent for them doing that. So I had to state that because I kind of realized that after the fact. So eventually they have to come to the conclusion that at some point not everybody's going to go on and fit in this helicopter, that they're going to have a weight limit. So people are starting to talk and they ask how old people are. Like, hey, what's your age? What's your age? And supposedly Chef was 22 and then he was 32, which is like, hey, man, like, I understand you don't want to go on the show and you don't want to reveal how old you are. You don't want to reveal how much you weigh. You don't run, like, I wouldn't want to reveal that either. It's like, I'm sorry, like, this is kind of personal information. And, like, I don't want to say that on this show. Like, plus also, like, if this is a show, you can be whoever you want to be. So, yeah, like if anything, that's like you should be like a role play character, and like this doesn't have to be like you are anything more than just like a video game ash like character that has this default name and what. Yeah, so anyways, so once we go on and they talk about the whole weight thing, whoever the heaviest people are to realize that they're probably not going to go on and be able to make their way onto this helicopter. We have guys like DEF CON that is to go on and be like, well, hey, I'm kind of heavier than everyone else is. hey, is there any way that I can lose a lot of weight in 30 minutes? Yeah, by running back and forth getting gasoline. That'll probably be an easy way to lose a lot of weight. Or also just go on and snap somebody's neck and say, okay, well, hey, like, I'm going to take the place of that person because that person is dead now, but you're not going to go on and do that vicious of a maneuver to just stay alive now, are you? No. But put in a life and death situation, people will go and do crazy things to stay alive. Or if anything, if any number of these characters were to have gone on and had a gun and thrust it out, just be like, hey, this is the time that I need this gun for, so that way I can survive. Or if any of these people had a weapon on them, then yeah, that would be the changing of the tide of these situations. But if anything, none of these people have weapons, because this is to be a show where it's like, no, we're not gonna do that. Because again, this show is not realistic. So the further and further they're getting gasoline from these ATVs, or they're getting the gasoline by hand. So here's where people are starting to bend the truth here. So we have guys like Chef that is to mention that he is to have been in the military and that he had flown a helicopter, but then he said he was in a helicopter. And so, what's to really believe here? Like, what is he going on and is he just telling people so he will just stay alive on the show? So, plus also I think everybody's lying. Nobody's telling us accurately what their weight is, because why would you? Because that's really personal. So at some point they'll also go on and they'll figure out who has like pets, or who has like family waiting for them, or they'll do rock paper scissors. They'll do all kinds of bullshit that'll just waste more time in this episode, and it gets really really annoying. So the further and further that they start getting gas, they have at one point where there's finally enough gas to fuel this helicopter. So, and DEF CON will be the last person to get gas, but then he realizes that since everybody's leaving, he's like, well, what do I still need to keep getting this gas for? If the helicopter can go on, or can lift off, then I'm not getting this gas, so he just drops it. And he runs after the helicopter. So, everybody gets into the helicopter, and the helicopter tries to lift off, and then it drops. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, weight limit. So everybody gets back out and tries to figure out who could leave. And so they realize, okay, we can only have 660 like kgs or whatever of people. So they start to do the math. So one person has 70, one person has like 54, one person like Chef is to weigh like 140 something kgs. So like I don't know how any of this stuff is in pounds. Like, so I have no idea what any of these people are actually weighing. None of this means anything to me. I have no idea what this is saying. So eventually what finally ends up happening is that Chef is going to tell everybody that he's willing to stay behind. Because they say it's like, well, hey, maybe another helicopter will come after this one. And they asked the helicopter guy, it's like, well, yeah, another helicopter is going to come. And so they kind of lied to the people. They kind of tricked them into saying, like, well, yeah, I should probably just stay behind. It makes sense. So Chef says that he'll stay behind, and then as the helicopter almost takes off, supposedly they say, hey, yeah, Chef is going to go on and pick a companion to stay back. And I'm like, what? Like, so, I don't know, that seems kind of wrong. Like, so you're going to eliminate 2 people out of this show? So, Chef goes on and he picks Patricia to stay with him. And in my mind, I'm just like, okay, so you basically get rid of the only 2 people that are be different than everyone else. That seemed kind of weird. But then also, like the whole fat shaming thing, just kind of seemed kind of wrong by the end of this episode. So both Chef and Patricia stay back as the helicopter lifts off. And we're probably thinking like, well, yeah, maybe Chef and Patricia will just kind of stay there and they'll live, and eventually another helicopter will come and we'll maybe see them later on during the season. No. All of a sudden, here's where all the zombies conveniently start coming in and surrounding Chef and Patricia. So they're fucked at this point, these 2 characters. So they end up getting surrounded by zombies, and we have to assume that they're going to die or become zombies, and we're going to see them later on. So, fair, right? Fair. So, we'll go on and we'll eventually see people who were zombies in season 1 come back and be zombies in season 2, or bad guys. We'll probably go on and see people who become zombies in this season come back somewhere later, and that'll be fun to see them become zombies, and we'll see them kind of be reused here. But yeah, for these episodes, it was kind of like, yeah, this just kind of sucks. This is not as good as the first season. Plus, also, when Chef got eliminated, I'm like, well, yeah, that's the best character right there, and he got eliminated. That just freaking sucked. So, but that said, I'm just kind of worried because I kind of clipped out of this so early. I'm kind of worried that there's anything left for me to go on in detail wise to bring up. Because I really just skimmed past a lot of here. So, let me pause here for 1 second. No, I think that's all well and good and covered. Like, if anything, I'd say that the Chef did the whole salute thing, and like the guys were kind of waving consistently at the 2 characters there, and yeah, we get to the credits and credits roll. Kind of a sad ending because I actually was like, man, Chef in the first episode, he basically goes on and he saves the asses of all those people just for those people to in return leave him for dead. And I was like, man, that is some cold shit right there. Like, you know what? I don't care that it was just like, well, hey, the helicopter was the only one-off option. They could have come up with some alternative. They could have been like, hey, you know what? If we all can't go on, if we all can't leave, then we're not going to take the helicopter. We're going to go on and we're going to find some alternative thing for us all to go all at the same time. But that's not the decision that they made. And that honestly is a shitty one. Because they should have stayed together. So, for these people, if they're going on and they're just so easily to let somebody go and someone die like that, Like, I wouldn't want to be part of that team. No. Leave no man or woman or human being of any kind behind. Unless they end up getting infected, then fuck that guy. Or girl. Or human being. Because, yeah, like, there's nothing you can do then. And eventually, it'll just only be a matter of time before that person becomes a zombie and kills you. And then, like, all bets are off after that. So, yeah, like, I would be a person that would go on and leave no person behind unless they become infected, and then later days. But that would probably be to my own downfall. But also, like, at least my team would go on and appreciate me instead of them going on and thinking it's like, well, hey, like, can I trust this guy? And I'm like, yeah, you can trust me. Because I'm not scheming. I'm not. I wouldn't be a scheming person. Like, I would go on and like I think for me, like I said, like if I were to go on and be in a scenario like this, I would not last very long because I would probably go on and try to like I would try to do things that would probably sacrifice me so easily. So I don't think that I would go on and survive very long in a zombie apocalypse. But then again, also, uh, I probably would want to be on my own more so than a group of people. Because a group of people in a zombie apocalypse scenario is never a good thing, in my opinion. I feel in a zombie apocalypse, it's better to be separated than it is to be in a group. Uh, because the more people you're around, the more risk you are at eventually either getting infected or like the more that uh you're to be paranoid the whole entire time that somebody's going to turn on you. So I don't know, like because you can't read people's minds. You're not a psychic. Like if you were, man, you would be easily be like you're winning at the zombie apocalypse because you know exactly when that zombie apocalypse is going to kick off. You would know how to just maneuver through it and whatever. So, with that said, finally, this is to be kind of finished and over with. If anything, like maybe it would be kind of a funny one-off video for me to talk about if I was involved in a zombie apocalypse. Who would I feel my character would be involved in it? And like, I'm not saying like who I am as a person, like who I would probably be. Like if I wrote myself in, I don't know. Like again, I feel like I've kind of said that a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I'd be a person who'd die right away. I'd go down on my sword, but uh, like at least if I were to be a person that goes down right away, maybe at least I'd be remembered, and I could be fine with that. Uh, but I don't know, like if I were to be written in this story, I think my character would have more value than a lot of other people's. So maybe I'd be just like stuck around for a long time just because my character would be so much more interesting than any other people. So, yeah. You know what? If you are put into a game show scenario, like that is to go on and be the one like selling point. like if you're the most attractive looking character, if you're to be like the funny character, if you're to go on and be like the standout, like yeah, I can see that guy as my hero character, where he's to go on and make it to the very end, like the equivalent of the final girl. Like I see that person as my final girl. That one's gonna be the one that wins this season. I could like, cause there's so many people that go on and they do shows and they know who's going to win by the pilot episode or even before that. If you're to go on to be the best one on camera, you're gonna go far in a thing like this. So I don't know. I'm just talking out my butt right now. Uh, because yeah, I'm sure I would go on and know a thing or two about being involved in a reality show or being on a show or movie in general. But I don't know. Like I've got on and seen so much stuff where it's just like where a lot of reality people would go on and would talk about being on shows, and like you have Omarosa or whatever from the Celebrity Apprentice, where the show absolutely just loved her for how vicious she was and how like so when shows would go on and cat like they would definitely cast people that would stand out for either a very positive way or a very negative way, and that could make your character last for a very long time. So like for example, like look at Joe, how Joe is to go on and just run for his own life and kind of be protecting of his own self. A character like that, where like people are making fun of him, and like I see that character going a very long way, even maybe to winning the season. I don't know if that actually happens because I didn't watch this whole season, but I'm calling it now that he's gonna make it into like the final five at least, or the final like however they dwindle it down, he's gonna make it to like the later half of the season, unless something of the cast drastically changes. Anyways, so if he goes on and he gets eliminated in the following episode, I'm like, wow, I called that one horribly. Um, but I also think that DEF CON could probably go to win this season also, because of how like already I'm seeing that his personality is going to win over a lot of people. And like the way he was talking in the early stages of this, how it's like, well, yeah, we all have to work together, and like he was seeming so nice to Chef. Like I'm like, yeah, this guy could win this show, and like I could really buy into that. So plus also there's people like the guy who was on the YouTube channel called Dudesy. He goes on and he talks about how he is a person who knows the ins and outs of the show Bachelor, and he can coach people on how to basically go really far or beat the show. And sometimes it probably all comes down to either your looks, or it all comes down to like, okay, like what are you willing to do to get further into the show. So it's interesting to just see like how like people will either go on and trick people to win a show, or would go on and have like good morals and just be the standout character. And like I feel that the standout character should always win, uh, either in a good way or in a bad way. Either way, like, because I don't feel that you're ever gonna go on and find a person that was like scheming the whole time and that's how they won the show. But I could be surprised. Like I could go on and watch enough interviews and be wrong about that. Uh, there are also some people that go on and do reality TV and do a very certain specific task so that way it can better their lives after the show is over. Like there's one girls on Survivor that were to have gone on to say that they were willing to get naked if they could get some chocolate and peanut butter. And so the host was like, "Yeah, give me that chocolate and peanut butter." And so immediately they did. And then the girls stripped down nude. And so after the show was over, they went on like Playboy or something. They were on some cover magazine somewhere. And it's like, well, like, so I don't know. Like, I guess, like, eh, let's call this video a video so wrap this up. I'm just blabbering on. I'm super tired. So if anything, I take all this for me just putting my foot in my mouth and just me rattling on about reality shows because I've never really talked about this much. So if anything, I don't even know why I'm talking about this at all. Because more than likely people will go on and not care about this video, but that's okay because like I'll just keep making them anyways. Like I was tempted to go on and probably do more videos. But I don't know. I'm kind of tired right now, so maybe I'll just go on and just do this one. Because I was thinking like, well, yeah, I should probably go on and do a lot more than this because I kind of skipped a day because I just wanted a freaking break. Because I've just been kind of consistently every day just doing a video, and uh, so if anything, maybe I'll go on and maybe the next day, maybe after this one, maybe I'll kind of do more videos there. I have no idea. I'll probably also burn myself out. So I'm just kind of I'm worried uh, about how much I should be doing right now or what I should be doing. Because it seems that right now things are at an upswing. Surprisingly, we'll see how long that lasts. But I'm grateful that there is an upswing. I'm grateful that people are wanting to join the channel, and we'll hope to see where this goes. So, goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.